Nurse Dana is a special character in the award-winning series, The Pitt.
Don't forget the ears, pal. Don't want anything growing in there either.
Okay.
So what's your story, Emma? What do your parents do? Got siblings, boyfriend? Ever kill a man in a bar fight?
Nurse Dana is played by Katherine LaNasa, who has picked up an Emmy and a Critics' Choice Award for it, but more importantly, the love of a very adoring audience. I am so pleased that Katherine is with me now in studio.
Hi.
Hi, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here.
I'm wondering about the success of this show. I mean, you have been acting for quite some time. Does the success of The Pitt feel any different from, the other successes that you've had?
Yeah, of course. Sure.
Yeah. In what way?
Well, I mean, I was never on a show that went more than 2 seasons.
Right.
I mean, even Octavia's show, Truth Be Told, it did go 3 seasons, but I only made it to the first episode of the third season. So, yeah, to just be on something that just caught fire. I've never been a part of anything that was a sensation in that way, and that touched so many people the way that The Pitt does, and was, a character that was beloved. And, to all the journeyman actors out there, there's plenty of great acting, but unless you get on a show that gets a lot of eyeballs on it, it doesn't really change your prospects. It doesn't really change your life in the way something like The Pitt does.
This is life-changing.
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, they totally changed my life giving me this part. I'm incredibly grateful. It's in a wonderful role. It's beautifully well written. It's, a lovely workplace. I love my boss, John Wells, so much. I just love that guy. He's brilliant, and you can tell by the storylines, how much they care about people, and it goes from the head down.
Yeah.
It starts with him. Scott Gemmell, Canadian, the secret sauce of The Pitt, our actual creator, Scott Gemmell.
Yeah. I want to start, I want to just go back a little bit into your journey in acting. You were a dancer.
I was.
Yeah. But I want to, we're going to talk about that, but I want to talk about your earliest memories of becoming an actor, what it was about the idea of that craft that kind of spoke to you.
That was my strength really as a dancer. And I think that I was often an audience favorite because even in something as abstract as dance, I realized that you were communicating something to people. And sometimes I would just pick something to play, like whatever I was feeling, anger or grief or whatever, and I just let it all come out in the dance. And so it just seemed like a natural journey in a way into acting. What happened was I married Dennis Hopper when I was quite young. I was dating him. I was probably about 20. I moved out to LA. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to live with this. He wanted me to stay, so I decided to stay. I was ready to stop working for the company I was with in New York. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll be able to really do some experimental type stuff. I don't have to worry about paying the bills so much. I don't have to do all this commercial dancing.
Commercial
As if I was a ballet dancer. But you know what I mean? I can just really do some downtown experimental stuff. And LA was really
wear
behind
crazy
the times.
hats or whatever.
Yeah, just LA was so behind the times that it really wasn't anything that I wanted to do there.
Yeah.
And I saw a documentary about Sandy Meisner, as people know him, on PBS. And I was 9 months pregnant. And it turned out that Sidney Pollack had made the documentary, and someone said call Sidney Pollack's office and try to find out where to find him. I saw that documentary and was like, I don't know what this is, but I have to do that. It was kind of a mystery. I saw Dennis doing it, and then actresses would come in and they would do, but I didn't know how it went. I didn't know how you made it. I didn't know what the parts of it were, or I didn't understand the craft of it.
Right.
And so I had a proper 2.5-year training with Sandy, his whole program, like one of the great American teachers, like really towards the end of his life. And I loved every minute of it. And I learned how to act from him. I did. And
But not everyone learns how to act from a great or even from, acting school, whatever random acting school, and comes out of it and is like, yeah, that is the thing for me to be doing. Not, some people come out of it and be like, you know what, I'm going to become a mechanical engineer instead. Because it seems easier.
It takes a lot of perseverance. And Meisner said, he couldn't teach certain things. He thought that they were, he said they're integrally bound with talent, but I teach them anyway.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I guess if you have talent and you use the technique, it'll work for you.
Right.
But
right.
If you
but if you don't have talent, that's exactly it.
It was like a litmus test.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have all of the parts for it to actually work.
I don't know. I just, I really love the craft of acting. I love it. So one director told me, he said that it thought about that I was friends with. He said, your best gift is that you think every part you have is the greatest part.
Right.
Yeah. And so I really love the storytelling. And before I started acting, I worked for Dennis on a movie, The Hot Spot.
Yes.
And I worked in the art department. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And he was directing the movie. And so I worked in the art department. And they left, and I was good at it. And so they left me to dress this one set all by myself. And I made this old man's room where he lived. Every little thing by his bedside table, all of his details. And when I was done with it, I stepped back and looked at it, and I was kind of spooked. Like, I didn't realize I had all this subconscious information in my mind about an old person and how they lived. And I thought, oh, that must be what acting's like. And so for me, it is kind of like that. Like, I'm not a cerebral actor. I don't even want to be. I kind of want to squint at it, Like I'd let it all kind of come to me like a sticky ball. I trust that it's going to come to me, and that's the kind of the fun of it. Is it's sort of flushing out inside you from like the inside out, or sometimes it's the outside in. Like, I know they're this kind of person. They look like that,
You pretty much answered my next question, which is about embodying that relationship to acting. But I want to ask you that question in relation to the other roles that you've played. Because you've been, there was 2.5 Men, Seinfeld.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right? NYPD Blue, of course, ER. But this role, this character of Dana, has she changed your relationship to acting? Is she like a mark in the sand in terms of who you are, and how would you describe that chapter to this chapter as Dana?
I kind of got a late start with acting, and I was always trying to work in television, particularly sitcoms, because I had a kid, and it wasn't so much going for the movies, and all of the writers wanted me because I was like the pretty girl that was weird.
Right.
So it was like they thought they could sell my face to the network, but I had the kookiness inside that they wanted. Yeah. And the networks were always like, what is this? They were like, no, we don't get this. You're either this or you're that. You're either a character actress or you're pretty, And it's like, they didn't get that.
You were a hybrid.
Yeah, it was a hybrid. And now in streaming, hybrid's reign. But at network television at that time, they weren't having it. And then finally, in my 40s, I got some great roles. I got a role with Billy Bob Thornton with his movie that we brought to TIFF here with Robert Duvall called Jane Mansfield's Car. It was written for Robin Wright, and she couldn't do it. And I ended up getting it. And I auditioned for a smaller part, and he gave me that lead. And on that movie, and I followed that up right after with the Will Ferrell movie, The Campaign. Yeah. So I was getting to act with these greats in theater and great in dramatic and great in comedic actor, some of the best in the country. And I realized, I'm holding my own here. I'm holding my own here, and it kind of made me realize that it was just luck and timing and whatnot if you got to fulfill that, And so that kind of changed how I felt about myself. It was a huge boost of confidence, even though neither of those roles changed my career. And then with Dana, I think what's really different, what I've learned with Dana is so much when I was growing up in the way that women were in television then, we had to be such perfect sex symbols at all times. Right. And then you'd put on glasses and you were smart. It's like everybody weighed 100 pounds, had long blonde fake hair. It was so intense, and all these Spanx, and it was just onus to maintain that. And in this, John has always let women be women. John is always, you can tell John Wells loves and respects women by the way he puts them on television. And, I feel like I can relax. First of all, I wear scrubs. I am old. I don't even wear makeup the second half of season 1. I have a black eye. If you can't relax into that, what are you going to relax into?
Good morning.
It was a good morning. I'd still be in bed.
So what are you doing here?
Benji's mom is visiting for the holiday.
She's still alive?
Well, it was too mean to die. Plus, who else is going to get this place through the 4th of July weekend?
I want to talk about your breast cancer diagnosis and then your treatment, because it was 6 months before you started filming The Pitt, if I'm correct.
I was treated about a year before. I finished my treatment about a year before we started filming, but I was in and out of the emergency department until about 6 months before, just with different things that came up after.
So at this point, the universe is asking you to hold this joy of being, in this great show that you're enjoying, but also to hold on to this incredibly difficult health scare this time. And I wonder how you were able to sort of balance out those two realities at the same time. And because if I break a nail, it's going to be hard for me to get into work and do a proper interview with somebody because I'm like, this nail is broken. So you're like trying to balance like some very difficult things at the same time and then still bring your best self to the set.
I think I knew that the depth that cancer brought to me as a person was very useful in playing Dana. And I think to really understand how scary it is to be on the other side it really informed me of how to play someone that cared about those people.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then having people in the hospital do little things that they didn't have to do that mattered made me kind of really get them. So I was able to bring all of that into Dana. I used to do this meditation. I think it's called the taking meditation. When I was afraid, and you kind of breathe in and you kind of like breathe in all of your fear, like kind of like black smoke. And then you think of all of the other people that have the fear that you have. And you could just be everybody in the hospital. It can be and you breathe it all in. And then you kind of like breathe in white line and you imagine like breathing in the white line and breathing out everybody's fear and in and out everybody's fear. And it kind of connects you to the community as a whole. There's a lot of people having cancer. There's a lot of people in the hospital really scared about their own lives. And that really, really helped. And I don't know why I bring that up. I think there's a certain humanity to the show and to the character that they've written. And I think just the flattening is what I want to say, that the cancer does to you and your ego and everything else. It kind of the way it gets you at your most core. I think that really served me.
I'm sure it opens up this path to empathy that is so important in playing a character like that.
Very well said. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I know what you were trying to say. I was with you. I was with you 100%.
You know what, John Wells? You guys can all talk. Like, I have to say the words that are written. I never know what I'm thinking, and then they actually put words to it. I'm like, that's it. Like I said, I'm not very cerebral.
No, you
are. And really not very well spoken. I've had to learn to take my time because I started reading some early interviews on paper, and I was like, ooh, this is dreadful. Thank God my grandmother's dead because they all spoke so beautifully. And I'm like, goodness, girl.
Hey, can I ask you a quick question about speaking beautifully? I love Nurse Dana's accent. I'm just going to tell you that right now. She just sounds so cool. Like, it's like, can Nurse Dana do that? Remember when you used to record the answering machine messages for people?
Oh, yeah.
When we used to do that? When it used to be your own voice?
You can leave a message.
That's it right
Hurry
there.
Up. I know. Dana, yeah.
She's got a great accent. Yeah. Did it feel like did you have reservations like coming out of like such you were in a hospital setting all the time with your own health, and then now you're going to be in a hospital setting all the time for work?
Yeah. I was so excited about the job. It really wasn't until I got to the show. I know this sounds really dumb, but it wasn't until I got to the doctor school that I realized how much of my journey was going to inform the character. I don't know why. It was kind of a disconnect for me. And then when we got to the doctor school or started doing the prep, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then when we went to the set the first time, I remember thinking like, oh, I really had a reaction like, oh, okay, wow, all right. But I desperately needed and wanted the job, and so I just was like, okay, girl, just put on your big girl pants. But it kind of faded really quickly. I got used to it very, very quickly. So that was great.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that you called Nurse Dana a love letter to all the people who treated you so kindly and lovingly when you had cancer. What did you want to make sure that people knew about that kind of care as you became, like, I remember this reading about you having someone cover your feet for you, and then you brought that into playing Nurse Dana. Why did you need to have that be part of who she was? Why was that important?
I was so struck by how kind people were to me at Piedmont in Atlanta when I had cancer.
Yeah.
I have different experiences in hospitals, like having my children, for instance, and just other experiences, waiting in the emergency department with kids or whatever. But when I had cancer, at least at that hospital, people were really nice. And I think what I want people to know is that they don't have to be that way. They don't owe you this.
That's right.
They're
It's a
kind
choice.
people that feel called to help people because they're angels. You know what I mean? The ones that are really, really nice and caring and go the extra mile and take you aside and say something that changes your experience that day, maybe your whole experience, like this one nurse did with me. You know, they didn't have to do that. They did it because they care. And I think the world is short on that.
Yeah.
You know, it's really short on that. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to highlight.
Given everything that we've talked about today, and the love that so many of us have for you as an actor, and for you in this role, but beyond this role, I want you to think back to, you know, those years when you were that 20-year-old, like just thinking about acting and loving to dance. And is there advice that you would give her about who you are now? Because I'm sorry, Katherine, but we are in that, you and I are in that stage now when we're just like looking back and saying, oh man, I wish I would have told my younger self a little something.
You know, you can trust life's hills and valleys, you know?
Yeah.
It always seems like it goes up, it comes down, it goes back. Just because it's down, it doesn't mean that it's not going to go back up again. You know, like I said, we were talking about the Colbert interview. It's like, you know, life has like its joys and it's also going to knock you on its ass. And it doesn't mean that it's over. I think perseverance is really king. And I think, lastly, I have to say something that I kind of thought in the back of my mind, but it really took me a long time to know. It's like, I think you have to decide your worth. And I think you have to decide really what you're ready for. Do you know what I mean? When I took this job, and my agent suggested I get a publicist, and I was giving this direction to the publicist so that they knew kind of what I wanted publicity for. And I said, I want to win an Emmy. And the reason why I said that was because I didn't want to be popular. I wanted to be taken seriously as an actress and to move my career forward. That was the only reason for me to be doing publicity. But I said those words. I must have, at that time, for the first time in my life, felt like I could say those words.
That's right.
I don't think I could say those words until I was 58 years old. Did I ever think that I could do that? It took me that long in my own personal development.
The Emmy goes to Katherine LaNasa. The Pitt.
This is the first Emmy win and nomination for Katherine LaNasa.
You know, Demi Moore had posted something about a friend of hers, and when she died, and the friend had said, I didn't feel like I really came into my own until I was in my 80s. You know, and it's never too late to stop growing and it's never too late to stop, to believe in yourself and to keep going and keep changing, and you can change your life path and your success and your career at any time. You know, life is long. It's actually long.
It is long. It is long. I love that you're sharing so much of yourself with us through this character, but also in interactions just like this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your openness. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's been a delight.